Yes. Check your.
Are you here, John?
Sawadee-ka.
Hello, everyone.
Happy to hear everyone's voice.
We're happy to hear yours as well. Nina's got a problem with her Zoom connection at the moment, so I think Alan's going to just help her if he can, but we can carry on.
Very good. Yes.
So Dao, on DSG, you were asking about the Pali phrase for breaking precepts. And last time there was a question, I think Alberto brought up about undertaking precepts, samadhana, and the training, sikapada. Any reason you were interested in the question about the breaking precepts?
Yeah, I'm writing on a section on Nibbana and mentioning that if one reaches the stage of Sotapanna, he or she won't break any of the 5 precepts. It's the reason why I wanted to have a proper or easy Pali phrase to characterize not breaking the 5 precepts. And I come up with a better phrase so I can use it. That's it, nothing important.
Because last week we discussed quite a lot about the Vinaya and precepts, and one point Ajahn was saying was that the Vinaya is not for following or remembering, but for understanding. So often people make resolutions not to break this, not to break that, and follow all these rules, but without the understanding of the danger of different kinds of akusala, for especially all kinds of attachment, whatever resolutions are made, then without the understanding about dhammas, especially about dhammas as anatta, then sooner or later there will be the breaches of sila and akusala of all kinds will arise. I don't know if you have any more comments on this topic. And I think there was also some discussion at the end last time about how, you know, so many people want to be monks, or so many, even lay people want to follow so many precepts, 5, 8, 10, or so on. But if they don't study Dhamma, if they don't develop the understanding about the truths, it's just intentions and undertakings, but when time comes, anything can happen. So this is why only the Sotapanna who has developed such clear understanding of realities will have no inclination at all, no thought about killing or harming others through breaking the precepts, as you put it.
Is there anyone to be killed when one is Sotapanna?
actually no one at all. The Sotapanna understands that there is no one at all. No one can kill or harm the other, because actually the cause of death is past karma. So one might think one's going to harm the other or take life and so on, but in the absolute sense, the real cause is past karma. No one there at all. So it's the understanding that is the key point, not the counting the number of precepts one's going to follow and deciding how many one will follow like a rule, but the understanding of the realities right now that leads to more and more confidence, more and more understanding of the truth, more and more seeing the harm of attachment and wrong view and ignorance.
Even when one is not a Sotapanna yet, but the understanding of actually there is no one at all. Can it condition moment of killing? Even right now. Does anyone want to kill?
Not at all.
See?
More than when the more understanding, the less even thought about it. It's not something that we think about at all in the day, because no point, no value, no, it's completely conditioned by wrong understanding of someone there, some being there to be harmed, to be killed.
And as more at the moment of becoming monk, becoming Sotapanna, no one can betray or do anything wrong according to Vinaya. Or excuse me, there's no idea to become lay people anymore for a monk who has attained enlightenment.
I
Yes.
have a question about Sotapanna. And it is said that when one reaches the stage of Sotapanna, several different kinds of kilesa would be eliminated. And the first one is Micchaditya, and also Vicikiccha, and not breaking any of 5 precepts, and also Issa or envy, and Macharya, stinginess, and Silapata Upadana. And I do not understand why not only Micchaditi and Vicikiccha, but also other kilesas such as not breaking 5 precepts and Icha and stinginess, and why these things are sort of grouped into one category of kilesa eliminated by Sotapanna. Is my question clear? So I do not.
5 precepts or any kind of akusala deeds. When there is understanding let go, or even so very, very slight akusala. Even one hasn't attained Sotapanna yet, but at moment of understanding the truth, it depends on right understanding how much has been accumulated to not do wrong, like telling a lie. Impossible. What for? It's not true. And try to get something belong to the other to be one's own. Is that right? What for oneself? But when there's the understanding of actually there's no self at all, as animal creation and still live without money, but there can be condition for living like a beggar, see, can live. Why not? When one knows what is there by conditions. More firm understanding about the truth of what is there, conditioned by so many conditions. And all vipagas is conditioned by karma, see, which has been done. So what can be done now? No one at all. It's already arisen and gone. So can one kill? Can one steal? Can one do wrong according to the 5 precepts? On more than that, not only 5. Then there's the understanding of what is wholesome and what is not unwholesome, what is profitable and what is unprofitable. Not just only 5, more than that. But the main akusala is defined to indicate that the akusala is so strong, it can do such very unwholesome, like killing, stealing, so on, lying. And who can see the very, very little attachment, aversion, or akusala? If one says that it doesn't matter, one underestimates that just one moment will be more conditioned more and more and more and more until big amounts of ignorance and all kinds of akusala. That's why seeing the danger of just very, very slight unwholesome deeds, one does not do that by Cetasika, Virati Cetasika, and so on, because there are many conditions to not to do wrong. Hiri, Otapa, and so on, depends on understanding. Even one hasn't been a Sotapanna yet, does one want to get the others belonging to be one's own, take it without asking permission and so on. Because Panya can understand more and more subtle realities in a day, little by little. It seems natural to have very, very slight attachment. But when one sees the danger, that if it's still there on and on and on, there must be big amount of such unwholesome realities, nevertheless at all. And hearing the truth is to have less ignorance, which condition unwholesome deeds. So what about not seeing the danger of just very, very slight akusala? And Buddha said before he died, do not estimate or heedless what is there. It is akusala or akusala in all aspects, even listening, considering, understanding. So very subtle to condition understanding, to wise to what is there as a self. When one do something wrong, does one see the danger of it? Strong enough to be known. And what about when it's not done yet? Less degree, but it's still there. And it can accumulate on and on and on when there's more ignorance, no understanding of the truth at all. So studying to understand the truth of what is there is to have less ignorance, which is the core for all kinds of akusala. Right understanding cannot do that at all. So what is the 5 precepts? Akusala citta. And even see right now how much ignorance is there. Moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, thinking, everything unknown as it is. If one doesn't see the danger of akusala, should one still listen, consider, having more understanding of the truth? When there's not yet understanding strong enough, akusala is there, more or less, by conditions, different moments at a time. Always there, ignorance, attachment. Even right now, what is there is not known. Ignorance cannot understand anything. At moment of not understanding what is there, ignorance is there. No one knows, always there. At the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. So very close, very sudden. Unknowingly, because it's not the degree as committing the deeds like stealing or killing, but it's there. Accumulated on and on to the high degree of killing, of telling a lie.
So all I can say is that the purity of Sotapanna is totally different from ours. It's extremely pure, in spite of the fact that he's merely Sotapanna, but Sotapanna is totally different in nature from us. It's my understanding.
So much beyond any word, experiencing what is there as it is, little by little, clearer and clearer, until only one reality right now shows up as it is. Only one. What are the others now? Appearing. Never appear when it shows up very clear. How can there be the other thing together with it in the moment? Is it not quite so deep? Because the truth is just like that, beyond expectation. Not under anyone's control. Like now, it's there, not under anyone's control. But who knows what is there? Ignorance cannot understand what is there at all. But now, from hearing, Where is the ignorance, avijja? It's now, because it does not understand seeing as it is. We don't have to look for where is it, ignorance, it's all there. After seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And when there is the understanding, it's the understanding of the word about it. That is useless if it doesn't bring about considering that it just for understanding directly the truth of it when it's there now. Otherwise, it's useless. Just talk about it. But it's there unknown. From hearing, considering, there can be the moment of beginning to know what is there. Even it's now appearing. No understanding enough to let go. No thinking, considering, because it's through nature's very, very subtle. Even hardness is subtle. What is conditioned, what's not appearing is so subtle because it's not known as it is. And ignorance cannot understand the subtlety of whatever is now arising and falling away at all. No understanding, no time to consider it, no word to be heard, to attend to the characteristic of that which is now as it is, little by little, until one reality appears a little more, understanding it, and the other reality, which is there, appearing not together, but one after the other, can be object of attention with very, very subtle studying the nature of it, as is not that which experiences. For example, what is now seen is not that which experiences it. So before there can be the understanding, beginning to be familiar or acquainted with such reality as is there. No sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no heart, no stuff, but it just arises and experiences. So the subtlety of reality, of all kinds of reality, is that it's conditioned to arise and falls away instant. That's why it's so subtle, because it appears as there, because of the succession of the characteristic which appears enough to be known by nimitta, not by just one among at a time at all. Understanding this can let go the idea of people and things and have attention or interest in studying, understanding the truth little by little by way of hearing again and again and again in order not to forget it. That's why in Tipitaka it says that sanya is firm and strong enough so it can condition the moment of direct understanding of what is there now by its characteristic, its nature, little by little. When it's just hardness, it let go the idea of the hand or the bed or the curtain or what is seen or done, which is touch. When it's hard, when it's touch, it's hard. But when it's seen, it's not hard because the hardness cannot be seen. So it's daily life, no understanding of what is there going on, moment to moment, not at anyone's will at all, not by anyone's control. It's there, arising and falling away, gone completely. No time to think about it, to stop it, or to change it, or to have it again. Otherwise, how can there be the understanding of the term Dhamma, Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta? And this is not the very sharp understanding of the truth yet, because it's not directly understand what is there. Because the arising and falling away of different realities follow one after the other. So now at moment of talking about something, seeing keeps on there, arising and falling away unknowingly, ignorance and which is there. See, that's why there can be the understanding of the subtlety of what is there now. And in order to understand the truth of it, because it's there, so it can be understood, it takes quite a long time. So no doubt about what it's meant by Kanti Parami and Viriya Parami. It's there to be known, but it cannot be known because there's no hearing, no considering about the nature of it. It's there not all the time at all, because there must be other reality in between. There is thinking while hearing and seeing goes on, moment to moment, not the same one at all, different ones all the time. Otherwise, how can there be Intl.Dhamma Parami? It's so true that it can be known, but not now. It takes quite a long time to understand the truth of it. So many realities. What about Sanya, which marks and remembers what is heard, what is seen? Now, it's not known yet, but it's there. So how can a Sotapanna kill?
And I think Tadao, even though, as you say, it's so very far away, the life of the Sotapanna and the understanding now, but still we can see that as understanding develops, less and less, one may be annoyed by a cockroach, for example, but no inclination to harm it or kill it or anything like that. And with regard to some of the other points you mentioned, like envy, for example, like before one might be envious that someone has a nice car or a nice house or something like this. But when we understand that in reality, they're just moments of seeing and hearing and touching that are the result of karma, and then different tendencies which are accumulated, what is there to envy at all? No one there to envy. And even if we talk conventionally and say someone has a nice car, but it has nothing to do with any wholesomeness or understanding, or we cannot even say there's kusala vipaka at this very moment. So I think the more understanding, less conditions for envying, no person who has anything at all in truth. So as understanding develops, I think it's apparent that less envy, less stinginess, less thought of harming in different ways. What do you think?
Yeah, having Sotapanna as the first stage of enlightenment is good, is a good thing, because it's so hard to reach Arahat without going through these previous stages. So Sotapanna gives us some kind of impression that enlightenment is sort of reachable. Though it may take many lives, it still gives us some kind of impression that it's reachable.
What about the Chula Sotapanna, who has attained the second stage of insight and understands whatever arises is by conditions, and is destined to become a Sotapanna. And what about before that? What about the development of Satipatthana that will lead to stages of insight? And before that, what about the careful considering about the Dhamma and about the truths? And what about this moment? So I think it just comes back to understanding now. No need to think about different stages so much and what will happen. What about the understanding right now? Because when there's understanding now that there are just dhammas, no one there, then no thought of harming, no envy, no holding on or stinginess at this moment. And this is the way that leads to the development of more understanding. As Ajahn was stressing last time, if monks don't even study the Dhamma or have no interest in understanding anything about the truth, actually they can never be true monks. They can never happily follow the various rules. They can never develop the path leading to becoming a Sotapanna. So understanding about the truth now is far more precious than the counting of the rules or taking robes or anything else.
And Tadao, on the question of confidence that full enlightenment can be reached, I think you'll recall that many times Achan asks about if whether there's any understanding now. And we know that no, there's no direct understanding. And she then asks, but is it possible? Can it be known? And we know that it can. So it's the same thing. We have the confidence at our level that it can be known.
Yeah, you're right.
And what can be known now?
Only what appears, Achan.
If there's no understanding of this moment, can it be known?
If there's no intellectual understanding, then there's no direct understanding.
That's why all depends on understanding of the truth of this very moment, because it's the only reality which can be known, because it's there to be known. Otherwise, what can be known?
I have another question to ask, if you do not mind. My question is about Anusaya and Asaya. And when we were born, we started accumulating ksara and aksara, but also there is so-called bhavanga chittas. What I'd like to know is the contribution of bhavanga chittas in one's life, the contribution of bhavanga chittas for the formulation of one's disposition, one's sort of nature or anusaya and asaya. So when we accumulate lots of ksaras, then we can say that one sort of become a nice person, yeah. And if we accumulate lots of aksaras, then we become quite a bad person, yeah. But what are these bhavanga chittas doing in the formation of one's character or disposition? They have no, okay?
Yeah, could I just make one comment before others come in to answer? You said that when we're born, we start accumulating kusala and akusala, but
Not immediately, of course.
yeah, well, I think probably immediately, but that is not the start of the accumulation, because accumulations of kusala and akusala are carried forward.
Yeah.
From previous lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's just a continuation of.
Yeah. Yes.
So then when you ask about the contribution of Bhavanga Citta, are you in fact referring to the contribution of the accumulated tendencies that are carried forward from previous lifetime?
Yeah, the point is that Bhavanga Citta, the nature of Bhavanga Cittas won't change. However, the nature and amount of kusala and aksara would change all the time, yeah? So my question is, how do Bhavanga Cittas contribute to the formation of one's nature, which is accumulation of kusala and aksara?
But the accumulation of the further accumulation of kusala and akusala in this lifetime just adds to the accumulation that was carried forward from previous lifetime.
Yeah, I know. But at that point, what the function of Bhavanga Cittas are nothing to do with one's formation of further characterization of oneself.
Not really, because they are vipaka cittas.
Yeah.
So
but
what we take for the personality is the accumulated kusala and akusala tendencies.
Yeah. And how about Bhavanga Cittas?
Well, they are just vipaka cittas.
So they do not contribute to the formation of one's.
How could they contribute? In what way do you think they might contribute?
It's my question. It's what I want to know.
Well, there must be a reason why you are asking specifically about Bhavanga Cittas in the context of the accumulation of kusala and akusala.
Tadao, by nature, all chittas pass on accumulation to the next chitta, all the accumulations. So Bhavanga chittas too.
Yeah.
That's what it does. It just the accumulated, your last jhana before sleep is accumulated, and your first jhana after waking up is already akusala.
Yeah.
And it just shows that all the tendencies just pass on from one chitta to the next.
Yes.
We can say all the asya, anusya, all the tendencies you mentioned, kusala and akusala, carried from moment to moment.
Yeah.
The patisandhi, the birth consciousness conditioned by past karma, will be a condition for what kind of kusala or akusala may arise in a life. For example, that there is birth as an insect or an animal, no conditions for panya to arise during that life. For example, if the birth is as a deva, conditions for a lot of lobha during the lifetime. So many different conditions, including the birth in that life. But even if there is no panya, a condition to arise in this life as an animal, the tendency is there and can condition the arising of panya in another life, as a human, for example, or if there is no inclination to kill or harm in this lifetime, what about another lifetime if the rebirth is as an animal? So many conditions, especially the birth in that lifetime, but all the tendencies, as Sukin and Jonathan were saying, are still carried from Chitta to Chitta, never lost. Only at the stage of Sotapanna are the first anusiyas, the Ditti and the Vicikiccha, completely eradicated, for example.
Yeah, what I'd like to know is there any active interaction between Bhavanga and Ksara and Aksara Chittas, or not? Probably not. Bhavanga Chitta just carry all the latent tendencies.
I think, as the others have said, the Bhavanga Chittas are Vipaka Chittas.
Yeah.
And the Kusala and Akusala Chittas are Kusala and Akusala Chittas. So they're different jatis.
Yeah.
But this life, the Bhavanga Chittas in this life as a human are different from the Bhavanga Chittas in a life as an animal.
Yeah.
And so they have their effect in this way. The birth in this life has its effect. But let's see what Ajahn would like to add on this topic.
Can we think about the seed of the plant? When you just look at two seeds, what about when it grows up? When time comes differently? Even just the number of the leaf or the look of the seed, everything is so very subtle, but there must be conditions for whatever is there. That's why Asia, it doesn't classify as kusala or akusala. Everything includes kusala and akusala, right? But when we talk about anusaya, it's not Asia, because it just means only that which is unwholesome, which condition for the moment when it's there, experience an object through one of the six ways. Because when one thinks about the reality which arises to experience the object, and what about when it does not experience any object that it is there in the day? No seeing, no hearing, no smelling, no touching, no thinking at all. But it's there. Why does one know? When another reality is conditioned by it. For example, moment of sleeping, nothing is there when one is first asleep. But as soon as one wakes up, we use the word wake up, comparing to the moment before, what is meant by waking up and being asleep. No experiencing of anything through the six ways at all. But there must be the reality, which is there, arising and falling away all the time, unknown. But without it, how can there be a moment of waking up at all, or sleep at all? That's why the reality which arises to experience, there are many conditions for each moment. For example, when it is what we say, bhavanga, it's conditioned by karma, just to arise, to keep on being alive, not die yet, because the same karma, same condition, it's resolved by way of having bhavanga arising on and on and on. And when time comes to be the vipaka of one did in the past which has been done. It cannot be just like Bhavanka anymore, because the object impinges on the sensor, or it can be thinking. But we're talking about moment of seeing. As soon as it's there, it's not Bhavanka. That's why each reality which arises to experience the object has different function. It cannot change. No one can change it. At moment of Bhavanka, it's there. Sometimes you try to wake someone up, but impossible. Or sometimes one wakes up by hearing or thinking or smelling or touching. This is the difference between one moment at a time to be known, as no one can do anything, because in truth, there are different realities, no one there at all. So understanding the seed of different seed, and it can condition different branch or flower or whatever, even the number of the green one or the whatever is there. So very fantasy by conditions. That's why understanding what is there is, it cannot be taken for self at all. When there is the understanding of whatever is there, little by little as it is. For example, even the eyes of human being different from the eyes of the animal and so on. See, everything is conditioned, and the Asya is the accumulation of what is there which has been experienced, and what is there more than just the result. It can be the movement of the body and so on, or the way one smiles and so on. Asya and Rusya can condition that. But there must be Chitta, which is Kusala or Akusala. And when it is Anusaya, it means what realities are the Anusaya, the tendency to condition such more and more tendency. For example, when there's attachment arising and falling away, it adds up. They're clinging to that object, not just once, more and more and more. That's why when we talk about what is there in Chitta, no matter it is Bhavanka or other Chitta, the accumulation of what is there has been experienced by way of Kusala or Akusala is there. But for us, for Anusaya, how many? Which can be Anusaya? See, not all.
Yeah, 7 Chetasikas.
What are they?
Such as Patika.
Counted, and then one knows. Number is not so important, but it's so true that it can be known the difference between Kama Rakanusya, Phava Rakanusya, and so on. Is it there now? If it's not there, no condition for Phava Rakanusya. Or Kama Rakanusya, or Avichanusya. So the number is not just to remember, but to understand what is there in a Chitta. Many, many Anusya. And Asava, not only Anusya, but also the accumulation of Kusala. How careful it is, how subtle it is. Even the Kusala Chitta or Kusala Cetasika.
Just for others who are not so familiar with the terms, I just want to briefly mention. So the Asya referred to all the latent tendencies, kusala and akusala attachment, understanding, metta, all the tendencies that are latent and are carried by each citta. That's why suddenly a moment of understanding may arise, or a moment of kindness, or a moment of anger, because the tendency is there, carried from citta to citta. And the anusayas are the akusala tendencies, the 7 main akusala tendencies. So these 7 main akusala tendencies, which all other akusala depend on, are the first 2 are eradicated at the stage of sotapanna that we mentioned before. These are the latent tendency of wrong view, ditthi, and the latent tendency of doubt, vicikiccha. And then there are 2 more which are eradicated at the stage of the anagami, and these are patiga that Tadao mentioned. Patiga is the same as dosa. All dosa is eradicated at the stage of anagami, and the other one is kama raga, the attachment to sense objects, completely eradicated by the anagami. And then the final remaining unwholesome tendencies are only eradicated by the arahat. And these are the clinging to being that Ajahn just mentioned, the subtle, very subtle clinging to existence, mana, conceit, and abhijja, ignorance. So these are the anusaya. So sometimes we put the words together and say asaya, anusaya, and that just refers to all wholesome and unwholesome tendencies. But more often, in the text, we read a lot about the anusayas. These are the 7 unwholesome tendencies. They don't arise, but they condition the arising of akusala.
As one hasn't attained Sotapanna-ship yet, how many anusaya say it can be known? Still have doubts about what is there now. And the idea as it's me or someone or something is there. For sure. If there's no accumulation, no tendency at all, no condition to have such reality arising at home, at the same, and so on in a day.
So like now it may seem that there's no inclination to harm or to kill or to get angry, but the tendencies are there, carried at each moment, not eradicated. We have no idea what will be conditioned to arise in future, if not in this life, then next life, until those tendencies are completely eradicated. Jan, earlier at the beginning of the discussion, you mentioned that a point that's interesting, that if a monk has become enlightened, has become a sotapanna, then they will have no thought of disrobing. But what about if they are living in an order where there isn't the support for following the Vinaya well, for example, or it's not a suitable life for a monk?
Really? Can anyone live with just food and place to live? No house, but perhaps they can live. When
Sorry, I missed your point, Ajahn. So you said before that the one who is a Sotapanna as a monk won't think about disrobing.
will not disrobe at all,
Right.
because understanding the truth that all depends on vipaka. And when it's time to end up, it's death. That's all.
Yes.
Just
Okay, it's
live.
very, yes, so much confidence in just the way of living and understanding.
So, Sarah, the problem will be for the Putujanas, not for an Aryan.
Because of the complete understanding of conditioned dharmas, it has to be like that. Nina, very glad that you can join at last.
I'm glad too.
Quite a team effort, yes. Did you have any topic you would like to bring up from last time, Nina?
Yes, I had something. I was reading Nisa and Nisa's questions on choice, that she has a choice to have an attachment or a boredom. And then you answer the idea of I is a fantasy. And then it is so important to know the difference between absolute realities and conventional ideas and notions. And we can have even about absolute realities, just conventional notions, like understanding. It seems that we have understanding, that it is something to have or to add on. And even that is wrong. So I think it's very useful the more we learn about absolute realities, so there is less confusion.
Yes, well, I think this is the point that, like Sukin was just saying, that when the understanding is really developed and firm and clear enough, no confusion at all, so no problem at all. So the problems are because of the lack of understanding. And that's why we were talking about the Vinaya and the precepts and so on, and the more understanding, the less inclination to harm or steal or lie or akusala of any strong akusala of any kind, and also less thought of envy or stinginess. So understanding the truth, understanding the realities is the answer for all questions.
So all questions, that's what I thought, yes. All the questions that we have, it is usually about not conventional notions, even if it is a question about absolute realities, is still a conventional notion, that it is something that can stay and that doesn't go away so immediately, and then that's really no control.
But one thing I want to say, understand and akusala, little bit eradicate. But like if we have an expectation, or I study Dhamma to become a good person, to not steal, to not that and all that, that is still with us. That is trapped. So it's Dhamma is meant to be understand unexpectedly. If you expect I'll become a better person and all that, I'll have more panya and all that, is wrong or wrong.
Yes, it is the expectation that we want to have more understanding. And that is already a notion that we don't understand, that understanding is an absolute reality just for a moment, no control.
And that's why it always comes back to the understanding of what appears now, the truth now, not dreaming about becoming a sotapanna, or as Hajit said, not having a kusala, or not getting angry or something like this. It always comes back to what appears right now.
Yes.
And last time, I think Mark wasn't here at the beginning, but you said that you appreciated his comments about understanding the difference between conventional and absolute realities. And it's not a matter of being forced to understand, but through the careful considering and discussing, there can be more wise reflection, more understanding about what the truth is now, that seeing is real, but the computer screen is not real. The people around are just ideas. Hearing is real. What is heard is real. So this is why, as I mentioned to Tadao, nothing to envy at all, because just moments of seeing and hearing, conditioned by past karma and gone instantly, of no significance at all.
Yes, this we have to hear again and again, that it is conditions and never again arises. And really it takes time to understand what is our absolute reality. It seems that we are slow to take that in.
And as Ajahn was stressing, I think last time when you were chatting to her, it's the idea of I, of self, is there lurking all the time. The seeing is taken for my seeing. What is seen is taken for something. It's my hearing now. So the understanding has to understand what appears now as Dhamma. This is the main point.
Yeah. To know what Dhamma is. That is what Ajahn says all the time, that we have to understand what Dhamma is. But that takes a long time, because we think we understand, but we don't really understand.
No matter what the situation, like your problems with getting the Zoom connection, well, it's still just seeing and hearing and annoyance and patience and lack of patience and
yes,
appreciation of kindness.
I get
just
so
different.
nervous when there is something with the computer.
I know. And then one gets, when
forget
one's nervous.
everything. I forget about the absolute realities.
But they're still all just dhammas, the nervousness, the worry, the upsets, the attachment. They're all just different dhammas, not belonging to anyone, and all gone completely. Now it's just a story about them.
Yeah,
all gone.
The story and all gone. We forget that all the time. And confidence. That's what Ajahn also said about confidence. Then, when there is confidence, no forgetfulness of realities, of absolute realities. I found that a very good reminder.
And when there's confidence, it's so true that there is only the reality that appears now, and what has gone, what has happened is unimportant completely. And what may happen next, the understanding, the kindness, the anger, it's all unimportant. It's
Yeah.
only this moment, the reality now that can be known. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
So with understanding that, confidence develops firmer and firmer. And it helps, otherwise before one might cling on to the story about my difficulties and problems with Zoom, but actually it's all gone. So what about now? Seeing now, hearing now, such helpful reminders.
And we're here discussing about Dhamma with the understanding that we need to understand what Dhamma is. So actually, Zoom or no Zoom, they are only Dhammas.
But Sukhinder, can you explain to newcomers what Dhamma is? It's hard to explain to newcomers exactly what Dhamma is. How do you see that?
Someone else want to say?
Oh, yes, Nina, I forgot to turn on the mic. Yeah,
Oh.
when you were saying earlier about understanding what Dhamma is, I was thinking about seeing and hearing and thinking that maybe your question can be put another way. There's seeing, and what is seeing? This seeing is Dhamma. So instead of looking for the answer to what Dhamma is, the point is to understand that this seeing, this hearing, is a reality, is Dhamma, and I think that's what it's all about. What we never understood, but happens in our life all the time, can be understood as just different dhammas.
So we never considered really what seeing is and what hearing is. We always forgot because we were interested more in what is seen and what is heard. And we had all kinds of fantasy and stories about it. And that makes a difference. That is the conventional notion.
No, our interest is always in concepts, and I think that's where your question is valid for newcomers, is to know the difference between concept and reality, concept and Dhamma, Panyati and Dhamma. So that's it. We're usually interested in what's seen, the story of it means that I'm seeing a table, I'm seeing this, and it's beautiful, it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think after hearing Dhamma, we begin to slowly understand that thinking is a Dhamma, seeing is a Dhamma, hearing is a Dhamma. And sometimes when we try so hard to know what is Dhamma, like the question, what is Dhamma? Then it's again forgetting that what appears now is what to be understood. And the understanding that this is Dhamma grows from this little understanding.
I want to say something as well. So even there's no Buddha enlightenment, all others Dhamma, but it cannot known be Dhamma. Everybody is in this world, see, hear, smell, and all that, but it is me, or it is who, that a person, a things, and all that. But if there was no Buddha enlightenment, you won't even hear the word Dhamma, not the definition that is all the but all the truth reality are Dhamma, which is no self, not nobody and all that. All are just Dhamma, no things and all that. So if there's no Buddha enlightenment, so nobody can know the truth at all. The truth of reality cannot be known by one old self.
And I think the problem is that after the Buddha's enlightenment and we read about his teachings, without the wise friend helping us, most of us just end up trying to work things out and trying to catch realities and trying hard to understand what is Dhamma, all the while forgetting that this moment, whatever is appearing, is the Dhamma that is to be studied and understood.
Is Dhamma the same as ultimate reality?
Yes, I think that's what we use it, that's how we understand it. Dhamma is reality, is ultimate reality. Dhamma is Abhidhamma, the same thing.
It's not a conventional reality. It's also conventional.
Not like, as Haji was just saying, without the Buddha, we wouldn't even hear the word Dhamma. So it must be something that refers to that which the Buddha was enlightened to, not a conventional reality.
Yeah.
We could say, Jyotika, that Dharma is life. So then the question is, what is life now? So people will have an idea of a person living and being sick and laughing and crying. But the more we consider and study the truth, the more we appreciate that actually life now is seeing, it's hearing, moments of thinking, kindness, disturbance, annoyance, hardness, softness that is experienced. So these are the realities that make up life. So this is what Dharma is, seeing now, hearing, that which is true at this moment, not just that which is thought about or imagined. So as Sukhin said, the Dhamma was enlightened to the truth about what life really is at this moment. And each truth now, each reality now is Dhamma.
So it's also the same as natural law?
We can say that each reality that arises has to arise by natural laws or by different conditions. So seeing doesn't arise because someone would like to see or someone can make it occur. It arises because of different natural laws, different conditions. There has to be a visible object that is impinged on an eye sense for seeing to arise. There has to be karma in the past that conditions the seeing. So it arises according to different natural laws, different conditions. So the truth is that whatever Dharma arises in life arises by conditions, not by a self. So this is the understanding of Dharma, that it's not anyone or anything at all, just different kinds of nama and different kinds of rupa. So we have nama dharmas and rupa dharmas, those realities that can experience an object and those realities that cannot experience anything.
We have Dhamma knowledge then.
So it seems that we have it, but of course it's the panya, another Dharma, the understanding that has the knowledge, that understands what is true, what is real. So whatever we are talking about, actually there are just different namas, different chittas and cetasikas and different rupas. No I that has anything or can do anything at all. So understanding the Dhamma means understanding no one is to be found, that whatever arises in life is anatta.
Understanding Dhamma is also understanding the ultimate reality.
Exactly. And as Hajit and Sukin were saying, without the Buddha's teaching, it would be impossible to know what is ultimate reality, impossible to know what is Dhamma, impossible to understand that what is real is anatta.
Is that only with the Buddha? Oh.
This is what the Buddha was enlightened to. So those who the Buddha followed had great wisdom, but not the wisdom that understood the truth about dhammas, the truth about anatta.
Jyotika, perhaps you're thinking about Dhamma as in terms of it means law and sometimes a natural law, and you may be thinking about the Sanskrit Dharma, which actually existed prior to the Buddha's time, which was used to also indicate this thing called natural law. But the difference is here that that natural law was not based on any understanding of realities. And the natural law that is one meaning of Dhamma and understood by the Buddha is all about realities.
So realities is not the same as natural law.
There are three meanings of Dhamma. One is the teachings, one is the ultimate realities, and one is what they call natural law. And this natural law, which is according to the Buddhist perspective, is all based on the the reality of the four Paramatha Dhammas, Cetasik, Rupa, and Nibbana. Whereas the word natural law used by, or the Dharma used by by teachings outside the Buddha's teachings, there's no understanding about these four Paramatha Dhammas. Therefore,
It's gone.
Perhaps I could just add a word or two while Sukin is coming back. And I think it's difficult to give a single word definition of Dhamma, Jyotika, because it has so many aspects. It's the description of the way things are in truth and reality. But there is a connection between realities and natural law, because realities are governed by natural law. So they arise and fall according to conditions, and those conditions and forces are the natural law. The natural law describes the way different dhammas are related to each other. Different realities are related to each other. So realities and their conditions and other aspects are all together part of the natural law description of the way things are. But it always comes back to the present moment. So we're not trying to have a full theoretical, full intellectual grasp of the whole of the teaching in order to evaluate it. But what it says about the different realities can be to some extent verified or tested as against what is appearing at the present moment. And that is the significance of it. It is a condition for the having a better understanding of what is appearing at the present moment. We don't need to try to extend beyond the scope of that scope.
Dankjewel. Sadhu, sadhu.
Jyotika, can I ask you if you were talking about conventional reality, because there are also conventional realities. Can I ask you, can there be conventions without realities, without the absolute reality? Can there be conventions? Can there be concepts without the Paramattha Dhammas, the absolute realities? Like table, can there be a table without the visible object? Can there be a chair without the hardness? Can there be
Table
the
is
word?
table is rupa, chair is rupa, rupa is ultimate reality.
And that's what Achan always asks too. Can there be conventional realities without absolute realities? Yeah.
So it is together.
Um,
The chair,
because
the table is rupa. Rupa is ultimate reality.
Without Rupa, there couldn't be a table.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
But we have an idea of a table. After
When you
seeing-
say, yes, when you say a chair or a table is a rupa, what is a chair? How can a chair be a rupa? What does it mean that a chair is a rupa?
No, the chair is a name.
It's a name, but is what we take for a chair a rupa? Because
It's a
what is touched is not a chair. What is touched is hardness. So the hardness is a rupa, but the chair is just an idea. Actually, the chair is the concept. It's not we cannot say the chair is a rupa. And what is seen is visible object. It's not a table. We think we see a table, but actually there's no table seen. It's just that which is visible. But there are countless visible objects seen, countless rupas touched and experienced. So there comes to be the thinking that there is a table or a chair, but actually there's no table rupa or no chair rupa. This is just an idea, taking what is conventional for being real, but actually the chair or the table is not a reality, not a rupa.
Look, Dhamma are hard, very profound and subtle. So when we hear that chair is the concept, but it's not our understanding yet. Because we still take things like my arm, my legs, and all that, in which the truth only has ultimate reality, softness, harshness, cool, hot, like that. So we may say many times, oh, there's no chair, there it is a concept and all that. But really, if it's not our wisdom yet, it's still wrong view. So for us, it's not yet. Whenever maybe in the future, when enough understanding that actually they are just Dharma only. So it's very hard. It's not a matter of day, week, month, year, life. It's matter of long time development.
So this is why we have to come back to this moment to understand just what appears now, because it's the only way that the understanding can develop. So at this moment, what is touched now? Is a table touched? Is a leg touched? Or what is touched now? This is a way that we can find out for ourselves what is Dhamma at this very moment. So hardness is touched now, warmth is touched, but no leg, no table that can be touched now. But without the understanding right now, there can never be the understanding of what is Dhamma. There can never be the understanding of what is the natural law, or the way that how one cheetah has to follow another, and so on. It has to come back to what appears right at this very moment. And this is what all the teachings point to.
And also when we say table, when we have heard about a visible object and the hardness, when we talk about chair, it doesn't really matter saying a visible object or saying table, because we know there is no table. Even if we say table, we know it is visible object, or it is only after we heard about the teaching and we understand about the teachings. It doesn't really matter we say table or chair or whatever, because we know we have understood the reality the word refers to. So,
the Sotapanna and the Arahat will talk about chairs and tables, but with no misunderstanding at all. No. But if they won't talk about a chair rupa or a table rupa, because we can talk about chairs and tables and people without misunderstanding, but that means no misunderstanding or taking them for being realities, no taking people or chairs or tables for being namas or rupas now.
And also, I have also another question, because so there cannot be a concept without a reality, but the other way around, can there be a reality without concept? Can there be a reality without conventions, without and I think that shows that there can be a reality without thinking about the word table, without the idea of table. And
why not?
that
Why
is
not?
possible, I think.
Why not? Without, there's still hardness touched, there's still sound heard, there's still visible objects seen, regardless of whether there's any thinking about it or not. And it's the true for an insect or an animal or a ghost or a deva. It's still just hearing and thinking different realities arising and falling, even without ever having heard the Buddha or the Buddha's teachings, still these different realities. So regardless of what is thought, regardless of what concepts are used, the truth is there are just realities arising and falling away in life regardless.
Alberto, from my experience, we can see that once the eye is open, it's like everything is seen, but we can only ever think about just a small part of all that is seen. Yet there are so many, that actually means that there are many realities being experienced and no thinking about it.
Mm.
So is this ultimate reality only in experiencing? Like
So there
experiencing hardness, softness, warm, cold. Oh.
Yeah, must be thinking about it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be phone, there wouldn't be anything.
The table is not. The table is not rupa because it's only the hardness what is rupa.
Right. So what is
Right.
touch is just the hardness or the heat or cold or the motion. The table is only the idea that is thought about. So the dhammas, the realities, are what have characteristics that can be directly known, that can be experienced. So seeing is real. It has a characteristic. It sees.
Yes.
Hearing is real. What is seen, the visible object, is real, the sound. But the table, if there's no thinking, where is the table?
Yeah.
If there's no thinking about Nina, where is Nina? Because what is seen is just that which is visible. So this is what is Dhamma now. The Nama Dhammas, those realities that experience like seeing and hearing and thinking, and the Rupa Dhammas, those realities that don't experience anything. The hardness, the softness, the visible object, the sound, for example. So the concepts, the ideas like table and chair and arm and Nina are not dhammas, are not realities.
Jyotika, can I
In that
ask?
sense, they are not existing.
Jyotika,
Yes, in absolute terms, they are not existing. They don't arise. They don't fall away. They are just thought about or imagined.
They
If
are
there's
only
no thinking,
when there is touching, when there is experience, then they
they're
are existing.
only, well, even when dreaming, there's no touching, there's no seeing, there's no hearing, but there's thinking about tables and people and chairs and elephants and all sorts of demons, but they're just what is imagined, not the realities. So actually there's daydreaming most of the time, thinking about different ideas, different fantasies, not understanding what is real at this moment.
Jyotika, is there Jyotika now?
Yeah.
Jyotika, is there
Yes.
Jyotika now? Jyotika, is there Jyotika now?
Is there Yotika?
Now,
If you see me,
no. So there is Jyotika, right? What your answer?
if you see me, then I am there for you. No.
Well, like,
You see,
is Jyotika concept or reality? Okay, can maybe I'll ask this way.
it's a name. Yeah, it's a name. It's a concept.
So there is no you, right?
It's a concept. As a concept. Zijn strikvragen, hè?
It seems like we have to give up something, saying there is no table. We have to give up tables, and we have to give up chairs, or we have to give up.
It's not possible, I think.
No, we don't give up these things, but we give up a little bit of attachment to these things. So it's a much easier life because we understand the truth, and but we cannot understand everything in one day, or in 1 week, or in 1 year, or in one.
And also, I think when we ask a question like, is there a table or is there a chair? To be fair, one has to explain the sense in which the question is asked. And likewise, when we say there, if we say there is no table, it has a special meaning in Dhamma terms. So it should be made clear that table is not something that can be directly experienced through by a moment of consciousness, by a single moment of consciousness. Only some aspect, hardness or visible object,
But
can
does it
be
make
experienced. So to say, we can say, therefore, there is no table, although in a conventional sense, everyone who sees, who is looking at what we take for table and chairs, understands the difference between the table and the chairs and what their functions are. So there's some basis for that particular concept arising.
John, but is then the difference, is there so much difference between a table and about me? If the question is there yotika?
Mm-hmm.
There's also no yotika, but there is also yotika. There's no yotika ultimate, but there is, it's like, it's a concept.
Yeah, to me, these
As a
sort of
concept.
questions actually get away from the present moment, because it's more informative to ask what is real at the present moment, what is appearing, what can be directly known. And it's building upon that understanding that eventually there comes to be the realization of what we call no self or no being. But we don't start from the point of view of no table or no chair, because in the beginning, there's no understanding of what is real in the present moment. And so it's more useful to consider that rather than to say what isn't appearing at the present moment. I think that it can be a mental dilemma to try and get one's mind around why is there no arm? In what sense is there no arm or no me or no table? One can think about these things, but it's not the same as having a better understanding of what is appearing in the present moment.
But Achan always says there is no one there, no person there.
I think she says that in the context of understanding the present moment reality.
Yeah.
Only. I don't think that's her starting point at all. But she may want to say something more about this, but I often hear her say it in the context of visible object. For example, just seeing no one there, meaning that in the seeing, there is no being. And even then, one could say what is important is to see the reality as it is, as its characteristic, and eventually as it being anicca, dukkha, and anatta.
And she often says that if there was no reality, would there be any idea of self? So what she's saying is that the idea of self is based on the experience of realities.
Perhaps Achan can add something to this.
I think that we shouldn't forget that the newcomer is the newcomer. No idea at all about the truth, about life, about any moment. That's why if we just give that person many things, many words, not familiar to that person at all, what is that? That's why I think that question of food for thought, for considering is the most important for anyone's own understanding. Even it seems sometimes one may think, well, it's so easy or crazy or not suitable at all. But in truth, can there be the answer of is there now? Just very simple. Is there now? Newcomer. Can someone stand for being a newcomer?
Humalda of Nienke Humalda.
See, for newcomer, what's that? Is there now? What is now? What's the meaning of is there now? Is it true or not true? Beginning to consider the truth. What is the answer for this very simple question? Is there now? Yes or no?
Achan, it's a simple but very good question, which even someone like me who has heard for a long time can start thinking wrongly about, because now, when you say now, I already think about chitta, chetasika, and it's already going wrong. And that's what it is. It's so difficult. It's true, but very difficult.
That's the subtlety of our dhammas. Otherwise, we think that dhamma is quite very easy, very simple. It can be known by words only. But in truth, it's not like that. It's there all the time, now and now and now and now, moment to moment, years and years ago, no understanding of what is there at all. And on and on and on. If there's no questions to think carefully about why there is such question, is there now? See, just live. So is there now? Very simple, but easy or difficult to understand the meaning of now.
But we don't have any understanding of now. We can say that now it's chitta, chetasika, and all that. But
A newcomer haven't heard about the three words chitta, chetasika, arupa at all. No idea at all. But just now, it's there now.
yes, there is.
When one says there is now, what is there now?
Seeing, hearing.
Okay, one moment seeing,
Yes.
other moment hearing, just different now, right?
Yes.
So there is seeing, and what is seeing is there. See, no understanding of seeing at all. Otherwise, what is seen? It's there. The right answer is the understanding of it.
But Achan, Haji answered because he has heard the Dhamma. Someone who has not heard the Dhamma will not answer that way. And someone who has heard other teachings will say, there is now, as in, I am here sitting on a chair.
Yes, like that's what I'm going to ask. Like we can yes, there are now different dhamma, but when we saying to understanding in a present moment, but like that's not the way. You can't say that, oh, understand chitta, okay, I'll come understand chitta now, I'm seeing now and all that, but it's not to be choose or expect to understand.
It's quite a puzzle. What is there now? Is there now? Yes, there is now. So what is there now? See, more than just there is now. But what is there now? Because one answer that there is now, it means that there is no understanding of now. Because when the question is, what is there now? Newcomer, don't forget.
Yes.
Quite new. Every word of truth is so new to the newcomer, very difficult because now, no understanding of any now at all.
Yeah.
So who can understand now? Has enlightened the truth of what is there all the time, now.
Yes.
That's why when there's no understanding and if there's no questioning, talking for understanding the truth, it cannot be known what is there now. You can ask anyone what is there now. No idea at all. So pretend or suppose the newcomer. Does anyone would like to be the one as newcomer?
Alan, I suggest you be the newcomer.
So what is there? Is there now, yes or no?
If I can answer, if I can add to that idea. Now is Dhammas are rising and falling away every nanosecond all the time.
Sorry.
We mark the arising and falling away of the arising of a Dhamma, we say now. But now is an idea of time. So, and time is a concept. So the idea of saying now is there's no now. I mean, now is, we say, all right, whatever Dhamma is arising now, but now is a concept of time.
Is that the newcomer?
No.
No, Betty, Ajahn was wanting someone to play the role
I'm
of
sorry.
the newcomer. Yeah,
You wanted
that's
to
okay.
answer that. I'm sorry.
We enjoyed listening to you anyway. I think
Sorry
Sukin was suggesting that Alan could play the role of the newcomer. Are you up for that, Alan?
Sorry about that.
Hi there. Yeah. Okay. I'll answer that question. Yeah. Yes, there is now. They're seeing now.
Okay. What is seeing?
What is seen? Many things are seen. Flowers are seen. Tables are seen. Clock is seen.
The seeing. What is the seeing? Because
What is this?
That is seeing.
Yes.
It's there. So what is it? It's
I see. It's I see.
I see.
Something. Yes.
Okay. So seeing is I, right? Because
yes.
we can see. But when there's no seeing, where's the I?
There's no I when there's no seeing, no.
So at moment of hearing is I hear, but when there's no hearing, where's the I?
Yes, there's no I when there is no hearing. So when I'm fast asleep, there's no I because there's no seeing and no hearing.
You think about moment of being asleep, but we talk just about the moment which is there now to be known.
Yes.
So this is something in mind for those who have heard some or lot of truth about it. But the newcomer, no idea at all. That is now, they might think why such question is asked. But the truth is that it's there now. So when they think they can answer, it's there now, there is now. But what is that now? See, and when there is seeing, it has to be the idea of someone who has heard about the truth.
Yes.
Otherwise, how can they think about seeing? They think about story, flower, or things like that.
Yeah.
See? So for the newcomer, no idea about the truth at all. The truth is there to be talked about, to consider about. That in truth, what is it? It's a moment, just a moment of seeing. Is that right? Let them think and have confidence of their understanding of their answer, little by little. So there is not always seeing. Some moment sees and some other moment hears, and then different ones all the time. So where is the I? Let them find out by themselves. Is the I or is the seeing? Little by little to understand that actually what is there is my condition, little by little, who can make seeing arise and something like that, little by little, for them to understand what is meant by reality or Dhamma. Because what is real, it's a reality. It has its own characteristic to understand, beginning, not very deep, but later on, more confidence of the truth, that seeing cannot be anyone at all. And without condition, seeing cannot arise. So in truth, is there I or things around? Just talk about one doorway at a time, for them to think, to consider in truth, to have more confidence of actually what is there is only a reality conditioned by many conditions, little by little, from one word to another word, to understand the difference between that which experiences and that which cannot experience. The point is that the absolute truth, that actually there's no thing permanent, no one at all. Only a moment of conditioned realities. No one can stop the arising what is that which is conditioned to arise right now. What can be known is now. Now there is seeing while we are talking, and seeing just seems non-stop. It seems like that. But what is the truth? Let them consider just a moment, a moment. Seeing is not moment of hearing, not moment of thinking. So what are there in life? 6 doorways. And what is there cannot be taken for the other or I or anything at all. Seeing is there by condition. So it just arises to see and then gone. That's all. Is that not true? Beginning to help them to have the idea of the truth, that the truth is there, but if no one enlightened the truth, no words about it at all. Can that be helping time for the newcomer to have the understanding of the ultimate truth? No one can make seeing arise. No one can change seeing to be other moment. And no one can stop seeing to arise at all by conditions. Let them have confidence of the truth little by little to understand the truth that it's all around in the day. No understanding of anything at all. And so ignorance is a reality too. Different from right understanding. So they begin to see the difference of one reality to another reality, on and on and on. That I cannot be found because it's not there at all. There is no reality which is I at all. Seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, thinking is thinking, feeling is feeling, remembering is remembering. Can this help the newcomer to understand the truth of this moment, not in Pali term, or not the Pajya in the beginning, but what is there when they have confidence, they can understand what kind of Pajya is there for the Chitta and the Cetasikas. Even they are different, they arise together by conditions. They cannot be separated at all. And that is by a condition. Sambhita Pajya, Sahachata Pajya, they are there from the very beginning, but we don't have to name it until there is the understanding of the truth of any condition. After we use the word or the name for it, they understand instantly, no doubt, about whatever is there is conditioned by many conditions too. So how can there be anyone or anything? Because what is there is gone. never to return at all, only once in samsara. And the understanding of this more and more, firmer and firmer, it conditioned the moment of directly understanding what is there as it hasn't been known before at all right now. For example, hardness and that which experiences it, that which see and that which is experienced is seen. See, they are all there to be known, but the truth of it is that nothing can be permanent at all. Very, very shortly, just to be conditioned and gone so rapidly. That's why it cannot be known. And very, very subtle too. Consider each word to have more confidence. One moment of experiencing can experience only one object by condition. See, Ekakata Cetasika is there. Little by little, learn one reality at a time, not all together at a time, and not understanding anyone at all. But to learn when a moment is there to be known. Can citta, which seems also here, impossible, different condition. Seeing is the object, the visible object is seen, is the object of seeing, but the sound is heard. And so the sound is not a seeing. No one can make it arise, but it's there all the time in life from moment to moment by conditions. Learning to understand conditions in order to understand the truth that without conditions, nothing can arise at all. And it arises just in very short moment, split seconds of a moment, and split second of a split second. Now, as soon as one opens one's eyes, what is seen so many things, but in truth, the white color is not the black color. See, it has to be seen one at a time, not together at all. This is the way to let them understand what is there in life, and not just intellectually understand pariyati, but have to understand what is meant by each word of the truth, deeper and deeper, stage by stage. That's why it's so very subtle that it cannot be known without the words of the truth from the enlightened one. Because in a day, no time at all to think about the truth of what is there in the moment. But it's there, it can be known. And the reality which cannot understand it is there. And the understanding of reality which consider the truth little by little until it can understand what is there as it is. It's different reality. And we use the word avijja and vicca and so on to understand what is there. Not just the words and no understanding of what is there even now at all. Beginning to learn to understand the truth. Word by word, one by one, until it's clear. For example, what is seeing? Who can answer that? It seems. Because without understanding what it is, it's impossible to think that only it seems. Because usually it's I see. What is true, what is real, what is a reality can be known because it is conditioned in life. By many, many words of truth like anusaya, asya, and so on, to understand the difference between one moment to another moment, different conditions, added or less, more ignorance or less ignorance, a little more understanding, a little less moment of ignorance. And I think that that's the only way. Let them think and consider. No one can force anyone to believe. to change the idea, but it can be studied, it can be considered wisely, carefully, little by little, until it let go the idea of I would like to know, I would like to do, I would like to experience, I would like to become Sotapanna and so on. If there's no understanding of the subtlety of each reality, one might think that, oh, it's not as difficult, not as profound, not as very subtle. But in truth, all dhammas are subtle. Even hardness right now, it does not appear as it is only one. So how can it be known clearly? As no one and nothing at all. Just learn to understand our reality at a time. To know that in life there are only seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, and moment when there's no experiencing of these six ways at all. For example, at moment of being asleep, not die yet, by conditions. So, what condition? The moment of seeing right now, and then no more, by conditions. We learn to understand condition for each moment. What is there in life can be known, can appear, can show up little by little to understanding only. Because now it's there as it is, but ignorance cannot understand it at all. But when there is understanding, it's there, it's there. It's not I, it sees. In the day, even after hearing a lot about dhammas or what is there as reality, no one, it's not enough to condition moment of directly aware with understanding of even patterns. But when it's there, by conditions, suddenly, instantly, unexpectedly, because it hasn't arisen yet right now. But what is there now accumulated to understand what is there when it appears by conditions. Not in anyone's control at all, even right now. Oh, I think that it's